Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing great. It's Scott in Detroit right now, snowy Detroit. It was snowing, so I feel like I'm in the land of Tom Schwab and some of the other guys up here. It was also snowing in Paris, so we just went from snow to snow, and apparently they're supposed to get 4 days of it up here over the next few days. So we're just hoping we get out of here tonight as best we can. Hey guys, it was a powerful, powerful week this past week. And really working with Patrice and Eamon Tofunmi with Care Africa, and just a heroic group of three leaders who are leading a really small faith-based non-governmental organization. And as I reflect, and I got to spend time and to speak with a lot of the people, business professionals. In fact, when we got to Abuja, met my friend Femi Banigbe, who actually lives where we live. He and his wife Flowey, we all go to church together, and he was off doing business in other parts of West Africa. We got to connect in the middle, and go get introduced to some players in the Abuja market. And so we got to do some business there. We got to do some coaching. The whole week was filled with coaching, but there's four major takeaways that I wanted to share with you that I thought were important. And so we're going to start with the first one here. So number one, and this is, you're going to hear me preach this over and over and over again, right? And that is vision, mission, values, systems, processes work everywhere. Doesn't matter where you're at. The vision, mission, values are going to work everywhere, and your systems and processes are going to work everywhere. At the airports, within restaurants. In fact, we've been going to Nigeria since 2006, and I have seen that country really explode from an infrastructure standpoint, in part because of them beginning to really embrace vision, mission, value, systems, and processes. Now, are there still places where I wish they would do better? Of course. But the progress has been really, really powerful. But you guys, the reality is we spend a lot of time on this, and there's a reason we spend a lot of time on it, is because this stuff it's just true everywhere you go, everywhere you look. The vision, the mission, the values, the systems, and the processes. If you can get these two things where they need to be, stuff glitched, sorry, where they need to be, what you're doing is you're taking the organization that you're leading. By the way, while I was over there, I got 2 or 3 phone calls from businesses here in the U.S. who are doing $8 million and $4 million and $10 million of revenue, and their hair's on fire. Why? Well, a lot of it is because they don't have a clarity of their vision, and the systems and processes just aren't there to go through. So that's the first big takeaway. The second takeaway is that your skill is a gift that other people need access to. Your skill is a gift that other people need access to. God has created such a world that He's given and deposited put inside each of us a skill set, a gift, access to be able to do something. And what's great about it is that other people need to draw on that access. So where I'm at right now, there's a plane right there. So that plane, there's going to be a couple, either men or women, sitting in the front of that plane, and there's going to be other people walking all through that plane during the entire flight when we're there. Those people have a skill set. Because they're using their skill set, I'm being able to draw the value of that. And I can get from one place to another. Instead of 5 months, I can get there in 3 hours. And so they're leveraging their skill. And so each of you has been given a skill. I know you might say, well, Scott, I don't really have a skill. You do. You just need to identify what that skill is and then go do something about it. The third thing, especially if you're in the Western world, use your access. Use your access. This is so critically important, because in the Western world right now, people in the West have access to the world that people in other parts of the country don't have access to. In fact, where I was at Nigeria, there are many of my Nigerian friends who cannot get a visa out of the country. And yet we can go, particularly in the United States, we can go to a lot of different places in the world. So many of you have access. Use it. Use your access, because it's to the value of other people. Fourth big thing that I took away. Start audio teaching people that you influence. What the heck do I mean by that? If you've been around long enough to what we talk about, we've actually got the Business on Purpose podcast. And that podcast, while I was gone, kept going every day, every day, every day. So if you look up there today, there's going to be a podcast that posted probably within the last 24 hours that Abby's in charge of that. I'm in charge of putting together the audio for that. And so it's a great way for me to take 4 to 9 minutes and just teach everybody who's listening to that about what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing. You can do this very same thing with your team. You can audio teach your team through through a simple little platform like iTunes, or even just your voice recorder right here. In fact, by the way, we've just launched an Alexa briefing. So if you've got an Alexa here in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be able to hear a briefing from us every like 3 to 5 days a week. All right, fifth big takeaway: stop basing your decisions on Fox News and CNN. Guys, the world is bigger than Fox News and CNN, especially, again, if you live in the United States. The first question I get asked 90% of the time about Nigeria is it safe? One of the reasons we ask that question, yes, I understand Nigeria's got its areas, it's got its weaknesses, it's got its points where it's not safe. But the overwhelming majority of the country is incredibly safe and peace-filled. We've got to stop breaking it. And I'm not even saying that question's a bad question, but it is telling that it is the number one question, hands down, 90+% of the time. We've got to stop basing our decisions on Fox News and CNN alone. And we've got to broaden our perspective in what we see. That's where I want to go back to point number 3. Use your access. We've got access to passports, to capital, to visas, to international travel right now that the Western world has literally never seen before. And so I want you to use that access, and with it, stop basing your decisions on Fox News and CNN. You know, my coach, Aaron Walker, he went to Israel, he and Robin and a group of people a few months ago, and he came back, and the most powerful thing he told me was, Scott, I would take my grandchildren over there. He said that was the biggest question I got is it safe in Israel? And I'm telling you, where I went, I'd take my grandchildren over there. Let's stop basing our decisions on Fox News and CNN, everything. The final thing is interesting because this is a platform arm. Facebook is definitely changing. I noticed that the number of views have gone down dramatically when we do Facebook Lives. And I know their algorithm, they said they were going to do it 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they have, in fact, have done it. So Facebook's changing. Guys, to depend on one platform for your communication or your advertising, whatever, you got to be really careful about that. So with it changing, I want to invite you. Just go to Systematize My Small Business. Type that into the bar. I'll show you where, right up here. Just type it right up there, and you'll be invited in to where you can come into the Systematize My Small Business Facebook group. That way we can stay connected with what's going on. Our coaches are in there, so if you need feedback on particular issues, we've got feedback forms and things like that in there. So guys, I hope that helps. We're here to serve. Again, check us out with the My Business on Purpose podcast. And while you're at it, ask God if we can get out of this mess before the night runs out, because more snow is coming for 4 straight days. And I hope we don't get caught up in it. All right, guys, have a great Thursday evening for those of you who are headed off into the evening.